I headed out to the scene of America's first Vietnam, the Second Seminole Indian War in Hillsborough County, at Hillsborough River State Park. It's out in the swamps, and it's remote, and it's wild. The Forest Ranger gave me a book about the Seminole Indian Wars as I came in, and I headed over to the Interpretive Center to see the artifacts that were on display. There was a nice little wagon. It's a really cool place. You step back in time and you learn something when you go through this door. The building was rustic and was full of the artifacts that I hoped. Second Seminole Indian War fought in Hillsborough County. It was called the Bloody Conflict, and for a reason. The American soldiers had antiquated weaponry. They were going against the Seminole Indians that had the advanced rifles being sold to them by the British, who had not forgotten 1812. These artifacts had been found out in the areas where I was going. Maybe I would be that lucky today. As you can see, the fighting conditions during the war were not good for the U.S. Army. Wearing wool uniforms, dredging out into the swamps, they were like the redcoats at New Orleans. Seminole Indians could pick them off in guerrilla warfare. Here's one of the uniforms, very hot, nothing I would wear if I was going out there. I was about ready to go off trail, and there I saw it. Poison ivy. If it leaves at 3, leave it be. What you see behind me is an area where there's been a fire. I don't believe it's a prescribed burn. I believe it's more of a lightning strike, perhaps, that causes, and these are actually very good. Clears out the forest and allows for the small flowers, or what they would call the annuals, which are actually annuals. Annual flowers will begin to bloom. That will lead into shrubbery and brushes. And then from there, eventually, with time, you'll end up with your softwood pines, or what we call in Florida your sand pines. And then from there you get your real hardwood forest, and that is a cycle that occurs out here in the woods. So when you see a prescribed burn, it's good ultimately in the long run, because animals have more access now to the things they need to eat, so there's more animals and more food, more abundance for everyone. As I moved along the trail, I became saddened by the end of winter and the approach of summer. There's a cycle of life, and nature is a metaphor for it. I'm facing challenges in my own life now. I'm glad to see there is a rebirth and a renewal. taking a break by the river rapids. These are alternative rapids that I found downriver. Let me explain. Boy, you can tell summer is on its way. Down this path from where the main river rapids were at. I found the alternative ones. The land up above is where the Second Seminole War, or a lot of it, occurred between Fort Foster and the old Seminole Indian encampment, which was spread all throughout this Hillsborough complex. It's amazing to think that right up in there, the U.S. Army met its match. It got embroiled in its first Afghanistan, its first Vietnam. Came across an enemy it couldn't fight, couldn't defeat. Appear out of nowhere. The suckers were armed. State-of-the-art weaponry that they were buying from the English. The British were arming them. The British still hadn't forgot that they'd been defeated in war. They still had a grudge for the Americans. One by one, the Seminole would pick them off. It was called guerrilla warfare. Eventually, after Jackson sustained about 3,000 casualties, he said, screw it. He pulled out of Florida. That's why if you go on the Seminole Indian website today, it's called the Unconquered. The only Indian tribe that the white man could not subdue. In fact, in 1958, Eisenhower signed the treaty and made this land part of Seminole Nation, a separate sovereign nation, essentially surrender agreement. They gave the Seminoles their land. Right here in Hillsborough County, believe it or not. Not Tallahassee, where FSU was at, but right here in Tallahassee. Excuse me, right here in East Tampa. Unbelievable, well, eastern Hillsborough County. You see me looking around, I'm looking around for that alligator and several other. They could be looking at me right now, but they tend not to be in where the river's churning, where the water's churning. The water's pretty clear today. I can see the bottom. I don't see any gators unless there's one behind me. Believe me, that'd be a nice big old piece of meat for one of them. I'm not kidding on this line. I'm a little nervous, so I'm not going to sit here all day. I'm going to explore up above, see if I can get a feeling for what was going on back in 1831. In the meantime, just enjoy the peace, quiet. An unusual rock. It's not movable. It's a small fragment of something much larger that's buried under the surface. I don't know if that's man-made or those ridges are just wear. I'm not sure what that is. I would have to conclude that since it's been a decade, about a decade since that sighting, that in this particular area, there doesn't seem to be any real evidence of their activity. But this is a huge complex, giant complex that even just follows right into the Green Swamp 5 counties over. I mean, there's so much to explore out here that this is just a tip of the iceberg. And that's what makes it fun. There's just so much to see. It keeps us coming back.